Santa Clara shook today. Strong signals on offense, clues in the backfield, a fierce chase on the market, and a new name in the trenches. There's a reunion that could ignite the locker room, a heavy legacy knocking at the door, and a quiet move that might reshape the defensive rotation. Every step has a price. Chemistry, ceiling, and depth will be tested in ways nobody saw coming. Will the front office go bold or protect what already works? You won't believe what we've got today. So grab a seat, drop a like, and let's dive straight into the news because the day was flat out wild. He's back on the radar at the exact moment the 49ers offense needs a spark. A familiar face with locker room chemistry, playoff experience, and the kind of versatility that fits the DNA of this scheme. A door opened on the other side of the country, and in Santa Clara, nobody can ignore the domino effect. Some fans celebrate memories of big games. Others question consistency, cost, and priority. But the context has changed. The window is open, the need is real, and the opportunity is rare. The clock is ticking, the faithful is holding its breath, and this decision could reshape what we see at the start of the season. The name is Kendrick Bourne. According to today's reports, the wide receiver asked for and received his release in New England, clearing the way for a new destination. Multiple teams are already checking in, and the 49ers naturally enter the chat. This is where he established himself as a valuable piece. Learn to attack zones, sell the short route to free the long one, and fight for yards after contact. This isn't nostalgia, it's immediate fit. He knows the culture, speaks the playbook's language, and brings physical routes, the dirty work on third down, production over the middle, and perimeter blocking. It's plug and play. Why does it make sense now? The receiver room is battling availability issues. Between adjustments, ration snaps, and roles under review, the offense has become more predictable than it should be. Bourne restores multiplicity. He can line up outside, work from the slot, block on the perimeter for outside zone, turn into a safety valve on third down, and sustain drives when the defense wins the quarterback's first read. He's not a savior, but he raises the floor while stars ramp back up. For a team that needs answers in week one, this changes the script, reduces hero ball, and increases margin for error in tight games. There's competition, of course. Some franchises have more cap space and open snaps ready to offer a short prove-it deal. The 49ers counter with a complete package, a contender, a defined role, a staff that knows the player, and a real shot at January. Financially, it won't break the bank. Strategically, it trades volatility for reliability. Fans are split. Some remember inconsistency and drops. Others highlight quiet leadership and clutch presence. Both sides have a case, but for a roster in win-now mode, the scale tips toward moves that reduce noise and keep the plan coherent. On the field, the fit is clear. Picture 11 personnel with Jowan Jennings occupying coverage, Ricky Pearsall stretching the weak side, and Bourne attacking choice routes inside. In 12 personnel, he becomes your press beater to free spacing off play action. In the red zone, his physicality on slants and short fades creates one-on-one mismatches, especially out of bunch. He's the piece that doesn't steal the spotlight, but amplifies everything around him, accelerates QB chemistry, and takes pressure off the offensive core. If the front office pulls the trigger, the impact is immediate. More competitive practices, a cleaner rotation, and less predictable third down packages. Wait too long, and a direct rival might scoop him up, turning our solution into their weapon. And that's not even the most surprising part of the day. It's just the first domino in a sequence poised to shake up the roster and the schedule. He carries a heavy last name that instantly taps into 49ers nostalgia. When you hear Gore, your mind jumps to improbable runs, hard-earned yards, and a bond with the franchise few running backs have matched. Now the son of that icon is knocking, free on the market after Buffalo let him go. Frank Gore Jr. doesn't have a resume yet, but the symbolism of coming home stirs the fan base, and in some way the front office too. Is it just marketing, or is there actually room for him on this roster? First layer is emotion. Imagine Levi's Stadium buzzing at the sight of another Gore in red and gold. Even if it's on the practice squad, that story alone drives engagement, headlines, and intergenerational connection. But the NFL is pragmatic. Nostalgia doesn't earn snaps. The staff must decide whether Frank Gore Jr. helps as a player, not just as a symbol. He's shorter, has a sturdy center of gravity, and quick change ability. At Southern Miss, he topped 1,000 rushing yards in consecutive seasons, proving consistency. In Buffalo, the competition was intense, and despite a solid camp and preseason, he was ultimately cut. The 49ers backfield lives a paradox. On one hand, Christian McCaffrey powers the offense. Brian Robinson Jr. arrived via trade for immediate support, and young backs like Isaac Garendo and Jordan James are fighting for roles. On the other, the memory 2023 still lingers. Injuries in bunches, last-minute shuffles, and game plans rewritten on the fly. That's where the strategic logic kicks in. Adding Gore Jr. to the practice squad is insurance. Something you hope not to use, but might save you from chaos. Financial risk is minimal. Locker room upside could be huge. cutting Jeff Wilson Jr., another familiar face, shows how tough calls are already being made. If Wilson doesn't return to the practice squad, Gore Jr. could slide into that spot. For the staff, what's better? A moldable rookie with franchise DNA or a veteran with known limitations? That's the calculus. Tactically, Gore Jr. provides a change of pace. Small, agile, and capable of surprising on draws and screens, especially when defense is key on McCaffrey and Robinson. This isn't about penciling him in as RB2, but as a situational piece. And of course, there's the fan perspective. Many want the fairy tale. Others fear a distraction. The point is, Shanahan's staff rarely moves on sentiment alone. If there's interest, it's because they see real potential to contribute. In a league where the line between luck and disaster with injuries is thin, having one more prepared body is never a bad thing. Seeing Gore Jr. run in Santa Clara would be a nod to the past and a quiet prep for the future. And the day's script still had even hotter twists ahead. It's wild how, in a matter of hours, the 49ers front office turned a thin situation into a board full of options. If one unit has given fans headaches, it's wide receiver. Between injuries, inconsistency, and bets still maturing, the group has lacked the bodies to survive the grind. That's the void Marquez Valdes-Scantling stepped into, initially weighing Pittsburgh, then landing in Santa Clara. A 30-year-old veteran with playoff mileage, he doesn't arrive as a star but injects experience and depth into a fragile room. The immediate effect is straightforward. McCaffrey and George Kittle no longer have to shoulder the entire burden of easing the quarterback's life. Valdes-Scantling stretches the field, threatens safeties, and frees the intermediate routes for Pearsall and Jennings. He's not a volume receiver, but a specialist in timely explosives. Inside Shanahan's system, that can be the difference between a stall drive and an unexpected score. Fans are split. Some point to dips in Buffalo and Seattle. Others remember Green Bay highlights and the chemistry he's shown in creative systems. What no one disputes is that the 49ers can't be picky right now. They need bodies. And it wasn't just him. The day turned into a mosaic of parallel moves that reinforced the idea the 49ers are in fine-tuning mode. Travis Gibson landed on the practice squad to juice the pass rush rotation. Jordan Jefferson arrived via waivers to beef up the interior. Meanwhile, whispers of an inevitable reunion kept growing. Kendrick Bourne, free on the market, with mutual interest in the air. Matt Mayako and Albert Breer say the front office is monitoring closely. If Valdes-Scantling brings depth, Bourne brings identity. He knows the building, has been a solution in crisis, and could plug in on the outside opposite Jennings right away. Elsewhere on the carousel, more names moved. Junior Bergen, the lone 2025 draft pick waived, returns as a developmental ad. Rookie safety Derek Canteen is back as well. Jeff Wilson Jr., meanwhile, headed to Miami. Almost quietly, the backfield added another body in Sincere McCormick, the former Raider, working back from injuries but evaluated up close during joint practices. It's proof that every decision has a plan B. Every cut opens two doors, and every signing triggers a domino. The locker room feels the pressure, but also that nobody is untouchable. Fans are riding this roller coaster. Some are shouting for Bourne now. Others see Valdes-Scantling as a band-aid. Others view the sum of these moves as a sign the 49ers are setting up for something bigger. The truth is, a blend of low-cost vets, recycled youngsters, and practice squad pieces can turn to gold in Shanahan's hands, or sink under the weight of too many tweaks. The suspense is set, and believe it, we still hadn't hit the day's most intriguing reveal. The 49ers chose to tinker in the heart of the defense, and that surprised people. In the middle of all the chatter about offense, receivers, and running backs, the news broke that former Jaguars tackle Jordan Jefferson was on his way to Santa Clara. A 24-year-old out of LSU, a fourth-round pick last year. He arrives after a near-invisible rookie season in Jacksonville, but with the promise of being molded in a system that's made a habit of squeezing value out of players. Others discarded. The question is simple: a quiet hit or just another name buried in the rotation? First, the current picture up front. The 49ers don't have a dominant force inside, but depth is part of their identity. Jefferson joins Jordan Elliott, Alfred Collins, CJ West, Kalia Davis, and Evan Anderson. Someone's gonna lose snaps. Anderson looks like the obvious candidate, still searching for traction. The intriguing detail is Jefferson's flexibility. He played nose at LSU, but with enough pop to kick into pressure packages. That versatility can be gold in a scheme that thrives on constant rotation to keep the line fresh. There's a critical read, too. The Jaguars let him go after one season despite the fourth-round investment. Two different staffs didn't see the growth, so why would the 49ers bet? The answer might be in their scouting philosophy. They often circle back to players who graded well in their draft process but didn't fit their board at the time. Now at low cost, they bring him in to see if he clicks. Low risk, potentially high return. For a roster living with constant injury risk, the move is coherent. Reactions are mixed. Some cheer the youth and tools, noting age and frame are on his side. Others see just another body with limited upside. The staff, though, sees at least 2 wins, more competition in camp, and less dependence on names that haven't convinced. If Jefferson hits, the rotation changes. If he doesn't, the cost was minimal and the door stays open to the next guy. Simple as that. There's also the roster gymnastics. To fit Jefferson and Valdez-Scantling, the front office had to free space, putting Jacob Cowing on IR and eyeing additional moves. That puzzle shows how, even in a stable franchise, every signing sets off a chain reaction. The fact the 49ers moved aggressively near the deadline underscores a sense of urgency. Fix the cracks now so they don't turn into craters in November. Jefferson may not be a headline, but if he becomes a useful playoff rotation piece, this pickup will look like a masterstroke. As we digest that last move, the feeling is clear. The 49ers aren't just reacting, they're shaping the roster in real time, unafraid to try off-radar solutions. That shows ambition and also exposes where the roster still has edges to sand down. The suspense isn't whether this team will compete. We already know that. The question is how far this group can go once the calendar tightens. Take a breath, 49ers faithful. The day was intense and necessary. A possible reunion that reorganizes the offense, a Legends heir who could bolster backfield depth, a flurry of moves to deepen the perimeter and the trenches, and a quiet bet in the defensive interior. Everything points to a roster that's more versatile, competitive, and ready to survive September's bumps. But here's the question: do these decisions bring the team closer to January, or just buy time? Drop your take in the comments on who you want active in Week 1. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share it with everyone.